The voters are ranking the current field of the 2016 Republican candidates as pretty average based on a new Fox News poll. Voters assigned a letter grade to the possible contenders, and take a look. It's based on how they think they would do in the White House. Nobody got an A, but the top mark right there you can see was Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. He scored a B among his fellow Republicans, and as you can see, the rest of the field rounded out with Ben Carson at number 2, Marco Rubio, Mike Huckabee, they broke C pluses. So did Ted Cruz. Jeb Bush, well, they were 5 and 6, followed by Rand Paul, John Kasich, Rick Perry, and Chris Christie. Well, the New Jersey governor placed last with a C. Does this mean anything? Tammy Bruce, radio talk show host, joins us. Julie Rugensky, political advisor to the late Senator Frank Lautenberg, both are Fox News contributors. Tammy,
hi there.
Hello. Let me start with you. What's fascinating about this is Jeb Bush, the big name, comes in 6, while Scott Walker is at the top during a pretty tough week.
Yeah, look, I mean, this just shows you how fluid the situation is. It's a very exciting time. There's lots of talent. And it shows you, and this is what's interesting about Walker and Bush, is that while they're known in their states and they've gotten a little bit of national news, of course, the whole of the base really hasn't heard any major speeches from them. So when Scott Walker has a terrific showing in Iowa, that propels him up. Now, Jeb Bush might be able to do the same thing. So this is really about each individual having an opportunity to be heard, and when they have that chance is to really deliver. So it's an exciting time. The Republicans overall are excited about the bases, about what's happening, versus the Democrats. It seems like, well, they already know who their nominee is, and they're not very enthused at this stage.
Oh, hey, Julie, is that true that you're not very enthused at this stage about Miss Clinton?
Well, no, actually, if you look at the poll after poll shows the Democrats are very solidly behind Hillary Clinton. But more importantly, I think she's sitting back and watching the Republicans do what Republicans do best, which is try to destroy each other in a primary and then put forward a weakened candidate going into the general. I do agree with Tammy on a lot of what she said, though. This is an opportunity for anybody to come up. Scott Walker, who I always thought was a dark horse going back to when he won his, not just his re-election, but when he won the challenge to him when he tried to get basically impeached, I thought was a very strong national candidate going in, and I think that remains the case today. I do think that these polls right now, though, don't really matter much. They matter to people who are trying to raise money, but people are not really focused. Real voters are not focused yet.
Well, is it possible, can someone like Scott Walker, let's say, who kind of breaks out now, so early, I mean, can he, Julie, keep that momentum? I mean, how does he possibly do that when you still have more than a year to go to the first primary?
He can. It's hard, especially for somebody who's never run before. And I think a presidential campaign is unlike any other campaign. Having worked on campaigns for years now, I can tell you that requires stamina that only very few people could get through without stumbling. And don't forget, we had Michelle Bachmann winning the Iowa straw poll this time 4 years ago. So you never know what's going to happen. I still think Jeb Bush is the inside favorite to win, but Scott Walker is definitely somebody who's got a very good opportunity right now.
Well, Tammy, is Scott Walker, is he the new Obama or the opposite?
Well, look, he has got one thing that none of the other candidates really have. He's from outside of Washington. So he's been able, though, to show what he can do. He has delivered in effectively a blue state. He has not wavered from his conservatism. People keep saying the media wants him to not have any charisma, but the word out of Iowa was that he was quite charismatic. And, of course, and I have to disagree with Julie, is that the candidates are not going to be destroying each other. The media thinks that Scott Walker, they're going after him right now, and that tells you that he's the one that they're worried about, while they're all embracing Jeb Bush, if you will, because they don't seem to be very afraid of him. But I would tell you that the two things that matter is Scott Walker not being from Washington, and while Democrats may be for Hillary, the enthusiasm in the polls show that the Democrats are quite unenthused, even dreading the election, while the Republicans are excited.
Well, yeah, let's take a look at that. Julie, your reaction to this, that no matter who wins, the 47% think the Republican will win, 38% think that Hillary Clinton will win, that basically they think the next president of the United States is going to be a Republican. What about that?
Well, first of all, that's just historically, statistically accurate, that it's very rare, except for the first George Bush, to succeed a two-term Republican president. It is relatively rare for a Democrat now to succeed a two-term Democratic president. However, having said that, Democrats, if you don't see an enthusiasm gap right now, it's because you don't see much on the Democratic side. You haven't seen Hillary Clinton out and about campaigning. You haven't really seen anybody who's out in the field in the Democratic side.
But we've seen her for decades, Julie.
Well, we have seen her for decades, but she hasn't done anything recently.
We're about out of time now. Let me go to the most important poll that we had today, and since it is St. Valentine's Day,
the most
important aspect of choosing a Valentine. A sense of humor, 80%, 7% political views. So based on the current number of candidates, Julie, let me start with you. Who is your Valentine?
Oh, who's my Valentine? You know, I have had a tradition of dating Republican men. So I don't know what's wrong with me, but I guess my Valentine would have to be somebody on the Republican side. Though I'm sure I'll be casting my vote for Hillary Clinton.
Tammy?
Well, she's dating Republican men because she wants a decent future for herself and her family. For me, it's Scott Walker. I've liked him from the beginning because he has pushed back. He's stuck with his principles. He saved his state. He's had success with the economics and business. He pushed back the unions, and he did it all while maintaining his dignity.
Wow.
He's a great guy.
If that isn't a campaign slogan and, like, you know, a 20-second ad, I don't know what is. Tammy and Julie, you both are my Valentines. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy
Thanks,
Valentine's Day.
And
Art?